Hello and welcome back to Blood and Ashes. This is episode 55. I am your host Mo, and I'm joined as always by my exhausted friends, Jody.
There may come a day when the courage of men fails, but it is not this day.
Oh, come on.
And Billy.
I have met the Dark One,
We know this.
and he has moved into my body, into my sinuses, and he's doing some dark business up in here.
Billy opened the bore inside his sinuses.
Bore
Oh,
is
no.
my
If only
nose
he
is
would.
the bore.
You need to break the seals there, Will.
I wish. So if I sound croaky today, excuse me, and if I just hack up a lung while we're laughing.
So no change. All very familiar.
Yep.
So we find ourselves at the end of another year, and staring a little bit of a break square in the face. So I wanted to check with you guys, what are you going to be reading over the break? Vil, are you pushing on with Crown of Swords?
I am going straight just after. I didn't want to start Crown of Swords until we recorded this episode. I finished Lord of Chaos, so I'm pushing straight into Crown of Swords, and then I'll push straight on. But I'm also reading some
Nice.
other stuff in between that's been sort of in the back burner. Some real world stuff, some news and actuality. Finishing up the book.
The news. You're reading the news.
No, I'm reading a book by Peter Zion. The End of the World is just the beginning. It's hit the New York Times top seller list shortly after release. A fascinating story of doom and gloom for our world to come with the collapse of the supply chain. It's kind of like the Wheel
Just
of
a
Time.
bit of light reading.
Yeah,
But,
coffee table stuff.
Just real consequences. And of
Wow.
course, I'm finishing up almost with the fantastic Origins of Wheel of Time.
Oh, nice.
Good read.
How's that going?
Hey,
Good. Really enjoying it.
snap.
Snap, Jody.
Nice.
How far are you
Joe's
on,
also
Joe?
holding up
I
copy.
where I got to the last time we spoke. It's been under a pile of papers on my desk since then. I only found it yesterday. Oh, shit. Forgot I bought this book. So, yeah, that's...
So Joe, can I assume that you'll be reading the Origins?
I'll be
over
reading
Christmas
that.
break?
I'll be reading Wheel of Time, and I'll be reading Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings.
Oh, you restarted that, hey?
Yeah, it's hard going, man. I won't sugarcoat it. I'm like,
oh, yeah, the Council of Elrond did.
no ways. We haven't even left the Shire yet.
Not even.
I think we've
That's where
just crossed the Brandywine or whatever it is, and like 75 songs have been sung. Songs that they were just like making up, songs that are old school. So many songs.
It's good.
I think
good.
I read Lord of the Rings for the first time when I think I was 13 or 14.
That's good going.
And it's about the Council of Elrond,
Yeah.
where I went. Maybe some other time I will read it. And I went back when I was 15, and that's when I read the whole thing. Like, I actually did stop reading it.
At 14, I struggled to read Danny the Champion of the World.
Oh, what a
Classic. Fuck this pheasants, fuck this book, fuck this shit.
Fuck those peasants.
Oh, man. I just bought the newest Mistborn book, The Lost Metal.
Ooh.
Because I really enjoy those. I don't know if you guys have read the sort of the newer age ones, the Wax and Wane.
I tried.
Billy, have you read any of the Mistborn?
No, nothing. That is something that is in my pile to go. But, I've got this other fantasy series that I need to work through first. So let me just get this
what's
done.
it called?
Hey? The Eater of
it called?
Time.
Eater of Time.
Oh man, I was tossing up going back to read Rhythm of War, the Stormlight Archive, the new book that I haven't read, but I think it's been so long now since I've read them. I'm going to have to start from the beginning, and I also have to read the novellas. I haven't read Edge Dancer or Dawn Shard or any of the sort of the novellas.
Listen,
between those books.
Dude, do not waste your time on Edge Dancer. Holy shit. I gave up. I just gave up.
Not a fan.
Yes, is that little girl's annoying. It's like 180 pages of nothing. Just, her eating. Okay, I get it.
But Brandon, like I bet you in the last like 10 pages some like wonderful twist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no.
All right.
I couldn't do it, man. But yeah, I was having these exact same thoughts yesterday, Moritz. I have Rhythm of War on my bedside table. And I started reading it the other day, but again, like you, I'm just going like, who's this again? What are they doing? Where are they? And I'm like, I don't want to start from the beginning again. Is there not a podcast
I almost have to map out
of someone that's...
maybe.
Yeah, I'll go through that.
Oh, I don't know of any. I've never looked, actually.
There's got to be.
Surely. But I think I'm going to have to look, because, it's supposed to be 10 books, right? That's what Brandon planned out. I'm going to have to decide at which points I'll reread all the books that have been written up until that point before I read the next ones, because he writes them at a pretty decent clip. So,
well, if there's going to be that many books, and I know a couple of guys that do podcasts on books. Maybe there's something else we got to tackle. Sort of like, okay, cool. No, let's just start a new one.
Hey, Mistborn Era 1 Patreon special on the side. Like I don't have enough to do.
Those books are amazing.
They are.
I fucking love Mistborn.
They changed my perspective on fantasy, like reignited my love again. Like I kind of like in a lull with books and reading and stuff, and those books again.
Yeah.
Like I have memories of where I was sitting when I was reading specific points, like in the story and stuff. Like, really, very cool.
Sure. No,
and what I was
like
listening
I need to go buy Mistborn for Christmas.
You totally do.
You can't go wrong, Bill.
Oh, okay. Put it on the list.
All right. Well, before we look ahead at all the wonderful books we're going to read, let's look back at our mistakes and our failed memories in our favorite section, callbacks.
I just love callbacks. Such a good thing.
We all do. Callbacks are the best. Especially like this one, which is a huge mistake on my part. When I was talking about book 10 in the last episode, I called it Crown of Swords. We all know Crown of Swords is book 7. It's obviously called Crossroads of Twilight. I cringed when I heard it because that's actually, as far as the later books go, one of the few that I definitely know the name of, and I just blanked last time. And what I was not super clear on, which is semi-related, is the names of the last 3 books that Brandon Sanderson wrote. Because when we were talking, Willie, about which books you may or may not have already read that Brandon wrote, they are books 12, 13, and 14, obviously, called Gathering Storm, Towers of Midnight, and A Memory of Light. Now, we thought after our conversation last time that maybe you'd only read one of Brandon's books and that you had Towers of Midnight and A Memory of Light to go. But you've read about Moraine's Rescue, haven't you?
Yes.
And that's in Towers of Midnight. So it is only the last book. If you've finished reading that book, then you've only got one book to go.
Okay, well, all of it is a mystery to me anyway. So I'll just plow through it at the pace I've been going.
Yeah.
I hope. The next book's only 30 hours of listening. So I should be able to knock that back in a couple of weeks at work.
30 hours?
This is my complimentary reminder to you not to recommend this podcast to your boss.
Yeah.
Well, I already have. I sell it to everyone. They walk in while I work and like see me with my headphones on. And what are you listening to? Metal. I'm like, no, fantasy. Duh.
Nothing so nerdy as metal.
I have a set of Dungeons and Dragon dice in my drawer at work. So when I get annoyed with something, I throw a d20 to decide what I'll do about it.
It's 13 or lower. Do you just submit and just take it, or like if it's 13 or higher, you fight or something? You fight the boss.
We've got a little setting there. It tends to work. If I throw a 14 or higher, I'll action it. If I throw 14 and below, it goes to file 13.
Gotcha.
The nerd gods will be pleased. We were wondering, where did Nynaeve go again when the Nightmare attacked the other Aes Sedai when they were in Tel'aran'rhiod in the tower? It was Leanne that went off to go check on her network of eyes and ears in Tel'aran'rhiod, and Morel had sent Nynaeve to go with her. That's why she wasn't involved in it. We danced around Nicola's talents. Joe, you said she had the talent of foretelling. And then we remembered that she can make Quaindiar, but she can also see Ta'veren, which apparently is revealed when Matt arrives. She can see, like Swan does, the glow around Ta'veren. I went back and I double checked. Nynaeve does shove her clay mug into a cart when she spots Swan.
I double checked that as well.
The morning she grabbed a mug of tea and she was drinking it, and when she walks into that house where Elayne and Logain and the nobles are busy talking, and Elaine's like, "What are you doing here?" She looks at the mug and she's like, "Oh," and she waves in there. Better take this back. And then as she walks out, she just shoves it in a cart and keeps walking. Never to be seen.
I went
again.
to go check that. That I found by accident because I was checking back about that Aes Sedai that she saw walking in, and it is Tarna, because I was so certain it wasn't Tarna, that it was some sort of Easter egg because she was with a warder, and I was like, "But Tarna's a red. How does she have a warder?" And she's one of the few reds that actually likes men and does actually have a warder. So it's like, you bastards.
Right.
So callback of my own that I never discussed with anybody before this, but I had a callback while preparing for this podcast.
Feels good, doesn't it, Joe?
No, doesn't.
Closure.
You're not going to trick me into this.
Yes, as we see in the chapters here as well, Theodrin is also half raised, like Faolain is something above accepted, but not quite full Aes Sedai. The message to Pedronile from Varadin, which was in that little tube on the pigeon's leg, right, the little bone tube with the 3 markings in it, is, I think, definitely about the second attack from the Sean Chan, because that informant is set up in Tanchico in Tarabon. He's not reporting on what happened on Toman Head. So he's to the south.
So that would make sense.
Plus, like you guys said, the timelines don't match up, right? It's like a year after Falme, and he's talking about attacks now. The pigeon did not go raise a family before delivering this message. So this is, in fact, the first report we hear as readers of a fresh wave of attack from the Sean Chan. Jody, when I said Rand and Tam have been a thorn in Niall's side for decades, I didn't give an Althor in his side joke the credit that it deserved. So this is me doing that now.
Okay. Thank you.
When I listened back to the episode, I was like, oh, that is really funny. And I just barreled straight over it. I must not have heard you.
It's cool.
Varen was surprised by Alana's bonding of Rand. She didn't see it coming at all. She muses that Alana had brought up the topic of bonding Perrin, but was shut down by Fail, and Varen thinks that it's the frustration from that experience, along with the frayed state of Alana's nerves, that led her to do this very sort of uncouth bonding of Rand without his permission. That had not been done in hundreds of years. So I don't think she thought that Alana would just go ahead and do it.
It hasn't. It's actually been done just a couple of months back without permission.
Yes. Yes. You're talking about Elayne and Birgitte, right?
I am indeed, yes. Different circumstances, obviously, but still without permission.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Nynaeve doesn't mention anything about Masema being the prophet to Rand in the Fires of Heaven, where they meet up briefly after that Ravine attack, where we thought she might have said something about it. So I still don't know how Rand knows that Masema is the prophet. It's not a big deal that he does, but would be nice closure for me if someone could let me know what that is, or how he came about that piece of information. And then we spoke about, like, are there any other male channelers from the Two Rivers after we saw like this bunch of girls with Bode and the other girls coming with Varen and Alana, and talking about Rand being to Varen and sort of drawing the things that he needs towards him. If there were male channelers that we read about that came from the Two Rivers as well. And I found one called Jaime Torfin, and he has an interaction with Androl at the Black Tower when he's working with a team of mostly Two Rivers male channelers. So there are definitely a bunch of them. There's like a whole group of them at the Black Tower, but he's the only one with a name that I could find with my cursory search. But he is mentioned. Joe, I checked. It is Taim that says "Kneel to the Lord Dragon, or you will be knelt."
And it doesn't sound like something Rand would say.
Well, being Rand is already fraying at the edges. I mean, doesn't seem like something Rand would do to like lift Bode and another Two Rivers girl into the air and shout at them.
Having just been through that chapter, I can tell you it could have very easily have been Rand.
He was kind of pissed off
after being stuck in a box for a very long time.
And when he lashes out of that box, some of the Aes Sedai that were holding the shield on him die. Some of them are stilled, and the others are shielded. Like, he lashes out so hard, some of them are just straight up killed.
Yeah, it's 3 of them that held him in the end. It's great. And
Sally
the,
days.
the severing, he severed one of them, not him. Madman loose. He's lashing out.
That's what you get.
And that line about being knelt, that is to the Salidar Aes Sedai. That's not even to the ones that were holding him. It's Aes Sedai that were there to help free him.
This is too bad. Wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah, 9 of them. And the first 9 bent their knee.
Yeah. And he is just done with Aes Sedai,
Yeah.
right? Like he is not fucking around with them anymore. Then when listening to the last episode again, I had a thought, which is when Moghedien is teaching Nynaeve the weave for sensing a man's channeling, Nynaeve feels a sense of contentment coming through the Adam. And Nynaeve thinks it's because she's feeling the satisfaction of teaching something to someone. I think she's being more sinister than that. According to Moghedien, the weave can give you a headache after time, and Nynaeve practices it for ages and does get a headache. I think Moghedien is purposefully deceiving Nynaeve and is taking pleasure from giving her a headache.
Yeah. There's a whole bunch of Moghedien shit in these chapters as well.
Yes.
We
get to something in this stretch that re-triggered that thought.
Exactly, yeah.
And then also at one point, this is more of a question. It's not a very good callback. It's more of an open question. At one point, we hear Rand is reported to be in 3 cities in the same day. Which cities? Caemlyn and Cairhien are obvious choices, but what is the third city that Rand would be going to?
Yeah.
Tyr?
It's my only guess, but I mean, what's he doing there?
Calandor's there. Maybe he's just checking on Calandor and all those fucking nobles, man. You gotta keep some tabs on them.
But they're all out in the back.
There's got to be some.
He sent them to Cairhien and sitting
the
on
worst
the
of the
border.
worst. But they're still the other shitty guys. Somebody's left in charge. It's probably just popping in, checking on Calandor. I don't know.
Maybe. All right, then listener contributions. Kerry wrote in just to let you know, Joe, that Catswain arrives in Cairhien after Dumai's Wells. So,
damn,
this is not her in Salidar.
Well, wait, I know that now.
That's when she arrives.
Thanks, Kerry.
And then Fed Up X Fed wrote in to say, in Tales of Midnight, Perrin is chasing down Slayer, who is holding the Dream Spike, and eventually Perrin destroys the Dream Spike using a nightmare. That's the thing that I was thinking of. It's not a person that's killed. It's a Dream Spike that's destroyed using a nightmare.
What's a Dream Spike?
Ooh, you don't remember?
No.
A Dream Spike is a Tel'aran'rhiod that Slayer plants in Tel'aran'rhiod, and it prevents people from being able to channel in the real world in its immediate vicinity.
Ah, whoa, that's a cool thing.
Heavy, yes, it's crazy powerful, and Perrin has to go chase him and try and get it from him, and he uses a nightmare to destroy it.
All right.
And then Fed Up X Fed also wrote in about a little thing that I mean, this is easy for me to say in hindsight, but I did notice it when I read it, and I never highlighted it, and I never put it into my notes. But in that Semirog torture chapter, remember from a couple chapters ago, she briefly mentions being frustrated by being called away from her charge, thinking the girl was willful and obdurate. It's Tuon. It's the first hint at what Semirog is doing. She's posing as, I think it's Anath or something like that, like the speaker for the truth for the Empress. But yeah, so I mean, so subtle, right? Like a total throwaway line would only mean something if you've read everything and knew exactly. I mean, Semirog only reveals herself and where she's been placed way later in the story. So right here up front, up front, book 6, but there's a little hint at...
hey, out of 14, that's still in the front part. Yeah.
Front half. True. So that's really cool. And then Ian Yellen also writes in with a couple comments. This first one is a real interesting one. I don't know that I ever actually made this direct comparison, but he says that the bowl of winds can affect the weather, but the other thing that affects the weather is the health of the Dragon Reborn. In the Gathering Storm's last chapter, the weather breaks when he finally accepts that he and Lews Therin are one being, which is pretty great. In question, when we said, I can't believe Rand doesn't know where the rebel Aes Sedai are, Ian says Rand doesn't know where the rebel tower is because the wise ones don't know, and Egwene won't tell him, but Egwene tells him that they'll support him. Okay, fair enough. She's probably just trying to protect them. And then the last one that Ian wrote in about is that the strength Alanna also refers to is the fact that Aes Sedai can also mentally push their warders into doing something even if they don't want to, which sounds creepily like compulsion to me.
Does.
But they find out after bonding Ashaman that men who can channel are extremely difficult to do that to.
Thank God. That would be problematic.
Yeah, I don't remember that at all. Good one. Okay, so that brings us to the end of callbacks.
I don't believe it. There'll be another one next time.
Okay. Yeah, the end of callbacks forever and ever.
Yay!
And everyone
All right.
rejoiced.
I was shocked when I typed out the recap of the last chapter. I don't know if I'm going into too much detail here, but this was a long recap considering how little actually happened. So we'll take a deep breath and take us through previously on Blood and Ashes. We followed Nynaeve as she was told by Elayne about the nightmare event in Tel'aran'rhiod, then checks in with Merrigan where she's washing laundry, then in the streets actively tries to avoid Morel, and in doing so enters a house where she finds Elayne Sedai and Logain briefing a group of foreign nobles about how the Red Argers set Logain up as a false dragon, which we know is a Swan Sancho fabrication. When Elayne notices her, she hurries off to find Swan arguing with Gareth Bryan in the street. After getting frustrated with Swan, Gareth stomps off only to be replaced by Leanne, who informs Swan that they won't be allowed to meet with the Wise Ones in Tel'aran'rhiod that night. Then they stomp off and are replaced by Elayne, who has snuck up on Nynaeve and who promptly asks her what she thinks Rand will do next. She also tries to persuade Nynaeve to give up on healing Swan and Leanne to no avail. Nynaeve moves on, passing a scarily smiling Uno and coming upon Elayne teaching a novice class. As Nynaeve watches, Theodrin also sneaks up on her and tells her that they'll be working on Nynaeve's block the next day. Special orders from Morel and all. Eventually, back in her room, Nynaeve makes a whining Margidian teach her the weave to let a woman detect a man channeling before Elayne bursts in with news of the arrival of a tower emissary. Pedro Niall meets with his two spy masters, one fake and one for realsies. Decides to start some rumors about the White Tower and the Black Arger. He reads a letter from a long-dormant informant in Tenchiko that the Seanchan are back, even though he doesn't know who the Seanchan are. Morghese is essentially a prisoner of the White Cloaks, but learns that the nobles that have in the past been loyal to her house have not thrown themselves at Rand's feet yet. Rand is getting reports from Bashir and Ruach when he hears about two Aes Sedai arriving in Caemlyn. Instead of facing Avienda, he decides to see who the Aes Sedai are. Turns out it's a bunch of Two Rivers girls traveling with Verin and Alana on their way to becoming novices. Verin and Alana have been secluded in the Two Rivers so long they don't know much about the tower split. And when Rand joins the two of them in a private room, Alana bonds Rand as a warder without asking his permission. Rand freaks out, shielding them both and getting generally irate. He walks out and scares the crap out of the girls before storming back to the palace. Verin and Alana gather their thoughts and help soothe the totally freaked out girls. Rand sets off to the palace at a gallop and eventually travels back to the Black Tower, where he freaks out in the woods a bit before checking in with Taim and the men in training. They're exploding rocks while Taim asks Rand if he can get some horses to start recruiting more aggressively, and Rand agrees reluctantly. That brings us to chapter 12, called Questions and Answers. Willie, why don't you answer some of these questions for us?
There's no bloody questions. There's no bloody answers. We just have bloody Nynaeve that's bloody angry. I will do this chapter the courtesy of being real quick because it's annoying. Nynaeve and Elayne are in the rooms with Her Highness Moghedian, who they are trying to learn a weave from for eavesdropping. Unsuccessfully so. So I don't know if Moghedian's taking the piss with him in this one, but either or, they're struggling to get this weave right. Tarna is the Aes Sedai that the Hall is meeting with. She has brought Elyda's message, and this has caused a big raucous now because Nynaeve needs to know. She has to know. She has to know the answer to the question. She has to know the question, but she knows none of it, and it's driving her insane. Nynaeve is just angry now, continuously. There's no there is one break in her anger, and we'll get to it at the very end of these chapters. There's a moment. Elayne also announces at this point in time now that she has to go. She's got to go and teach these other Aes Sedais. They all want to learn how to make Tarna now. It's the new in thing. And she's like, half of them can't do anything, but they still convinced that they'll be able to learn to do this. So I don't know if this is a skill that can be taught or if this is a talent, but it doesn't seem that she's able to teach anyone with real success for now. Nynaeve's got her own set of chores for the day. She's got to go and find Janya and Delana. She's got to do some copying for them, where she gets reminded by Elayne that the one likes to don't care if there's a blot of ink or a splat. She's all about it being fast, which I assume is Janya, the white. That talks very fast and just keeps going. Blah, 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 blah. And Delana's the grey, that is, no, the brown, that is kind of plumpish and slow and slows her down to sort of just relax and think a little bit. But she likes her stuff super neat and make you redo it. So Nynaeve angry about that. Like, fine, bloody great advice. This is like, be fast and be slow. Like, just there's no winning. So Moghedian in the background pipes up that perhaps they should all just get themselves ready to go, like now, and that like she'll come with, like she knows she'd rather be a slave with him away from all of these Aes Sedai, it seems, because sooner or later she reckons these Aes Sedai are going to pick up to something untoward with all the discoveries. Nynaeve, who cannot channel but keeps discovering shit. It's very, very suspicious. And I mean, Moghedian has got a neck on the line if it does get found out, because she'll die. She'll be immediately facing 13 sisters and a little bit of severing of herself, to say the least. Nynaeve is not happy with her advice. So Nynaeve does what Nynaeve
Surprise.
does, and it instructs her to start making the beds, clean the chamber pots, and make sure you scrub them. So taking a bit of a pod scrubbing anger out on poor, pretty Moghedian, the lovely woman.
Oh, shame.
Now, Nynaeve scurries out and she finds Birgitte is busy playing hacky sack with 5 boys. And she tries to convince her to firstly get some horses and enough horses. And she's like, okay, cool, who's coming? I mean, it's Elayne, it's me, it's Nynaeve, it's Marigan, and it's going to be if Tom and Julian makes it back because they went out on their own little scouting mission. But she'd like to take Uno because, and Nynaeve is like not keen on this, like, no. And Brigitte says, well, I will get the final number of horses after I've spoken to Elayne, because she's pretty keen on Uno, and she calls him a well set up fellow, whatever that means.
I think we know.
Yeah. Now, Brigitte also is at the request of going to spy, like physically spy, eavesdrop on the Aes Sedai in the meeting that Nynaeve just cannot get the answers of the questions and the questions of the answers from. She's like, nope, done that once in my life. 3 days of terror. Will never ever spy on Aes Sedai again. Thank you very much. Bye bye. And that's sort of brings that to an end. Nicola then interrupts them and says, oh, well, so by the way, you're supposed to be copying for Janya and Delana, and they sent me now to come and fetch you. Where she takes on a bunch of her frustration out on Nicola, because apparently Nicola is not happy about the fact that she was lied to, obviously by Nynaeve and a lot of them, but she's also kind of blackmailed into keeping their lie a secret, something of the sort. So they're having a little bit of a bitchiness between each other, but Nicola guides or leads Nynaeve all the way back to Janya and Lana, and instead of Janya and Lana getting her to start writing, because she notices there's no papers and quills and sand and ink at the table, and wondering if she should have brought her own, she is then absolutely quizzed to pieces about Rand. Surprise, surprise. They just trying to get more information, which kind of, suppose I would think, comes from information that the Hall wants around Rand, around needing to make a decision about who Elyda had sent them. That's kind of how my thinking was going around that.
I think everyone is just sort of asking her because everyone that is asking her stuff about Rand is not sharing it with anyone else. So she's having to like, everyone wants to
Okay.
know and everyone's asking her because
Yeah.
they're all a bunch of nosy bastards.
Now, Nynaeve is also not happy about this and has a little snide remark, like I've told you, but you being other Aes Sedai, not specifically those people. Anywho, she carries on with that up until the point where she's excused and told that it's now time to go for her lessons with Theoden, which she is absolutely ecstatic about. Like more lessons, more learning. On her way to Theoden, she decides to do a little bit of eavesdropping of herself outside the little tower hall, the inn with the where they're all sitting, and she picks up a bunch of stormpies, which is a saying for she gets half and the tail end of a story, and now she needs to try and make her own assumptions of it, and she's got no idea what to make of it. It is just little bits of Bob, and then Theoden busts her. Not quite busts her, but okay, cool, it's time to go. It's have you been staying calm, Nynaeve? And Nynaeve has not been staying calm. So no, the answer is
No.
no, she does not stay calm. And while all of this is going down, there's a woman in a window watching them. Dun dun dun. End.
Is Halima there? Is that her, you think?
That's Halima, yes.
All right. Oh, you finished
Is
the
it?
book.
Yes. I finished the
So
book.
that's who I thought it was. Didn't realize she was there already.
And Halima is Asangar or Arangar? I can't remember now.
One of those.
One of those.
One
two.
of the
I can't
one of the
I only
Gar.
remember who. Yeah, it's Belthamel, not Agenor.
Those two always mix up. Doesn't matter what you call
Is
it.
it? I mean, I went and I looked this up. A lot of people thought, is it Halima? But she seems. When do you read about her arriving at Salidar?
Very, very soon.
Okay, because some people speculate, like, is it Swan? Is it Arena? Is it Tarna herself? Yeah, a lot of speculation. You never quite find out. It's never stated explicitly.
Never
who
ever
that
find
is.
explicitly. You just have your own little theory. I think it's Halima. That's
Could be
that's what I
Tarna,
would say.
because she does find them in the next chapter. So maybe that she sees the
Tarna-
earlier and goes, okay, and then follows her.
Tarna was in the meeting hall at that time.
She left the meeting
she
before Nynaeve
Yeah, she wasn't there.
walks off. People have done some like in-depth analysis here. The reason why some people think it's Swan is because later Swan makes a comment about Nynaeve spying on people.
I think it's because they say that.
I think that they do that in these chapters.
They admit to doing it. Okay, maybe she says that to Elayne, as she does. Okay.
But does she say it in Swan's company?
No. But then again, out of all the little Easter eggs to pick on, I don't think this one affects the main story.
Insert mysterious woman here. There's so many that it could be all of those things we said.
Any
are
Aes
valid
Sedai in town.
things and change nothing.
Yeah.
And
Willie, I thought you said this was going to be quick. Liar.
Yeah, you got stuck in there.
Yeah.
Except you didn't explain like Nynaeve like crawling under the windowsill and like sneaking around the house, like having to use her like actual real world rogue skills and not just the power.
And all for nothing because Theoden's watching it the whole time.
Yeah. No.
And says nothing. I love this woman. She's my new favorite character. Theodrin.
Yeah, she's cool.
She should have more time. I've got a bit more in my notes later on.
Cool. I took note of the fact that the song Sparrow has been set free. Remember they had like a little bird in a cage? They mentioned at the start of this chapter that they set it free. I thought that might have been like a cool little, or not so subtle hint at like Nynaeve wanting to be free as well. Maybe Nynaeve set the bird free because she herself also wants to leave. She doesn't want to be trapped in Salidar. We face a lot of internal struggle with Nynaeve in the coming chapters, in this one and in the next ones, about like finding reasons to want to go, right? Like she and Elayne have this pretty protracted tug of war about should we stay, should we go? You love it, eh? Then The eavesdropping shield that the little tower have woven around their meeting. Nynaeve calls it, or she refers to it as the price of sharing knowledge.
Mm.
Did she teach them that?
That's what I figured. But it seems like do I not? Did they not do this previously? Like the Amberlin study, didn't she shield shit?
Whenever they shielded stuff, it's for actual listening, not for listening with the power.
Ah, it's a different weave.
And now they've shielded against listening with the power. That's why like Elayne and Nynaeve are trying to listen all the way from their room, like down the alley. It's like far away, and they're trying to listen in with the power. But the shield is specifically to block that.
Ah.
That's why Nynaeve can hear perfectly well what they're saying when she crawls.
But she's
into that
inside the
space
shield
near them.
at that point.
Mm.
Well, that's also true.
I think it's for both.
Yeah,
Because
I
it would
don't know.
seem
It was
silly to have it for just one or the other. You know, if you don't want people to listen,
Yes,
have it for
true.
both.
Yeah.
But I think, maybe this is the upgraded
Yeah.
shield where you can't use the power either.
Shield V2.
Mm-hmm.
How's Margideon? Eh? This is the comment that made me go back on that other thing about her. Margideon tells Nynaeve that it takes time working with the power to learn how to ignore the heat.
Liar.
Lies.
She's not
We've been
bound by
told
no
repeatedly
override.
it's got nothing to do with the power.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But she lies to Nynaeve straight face, right? And
Yeah.
Nynaeve sort of just buys it. And I was like, yeah, she is just the contentment she was feeling from Margideon. It's not about like her feeling good about teaching you something. It's because she's giving you a headache, thinking, look at this idiot.
I also
Giving
think
herself a
that she's
headache
getting a
for
bit. That's why I thought it was Halima in town, because maybe she's already spoken to her. Maybe there's already she knows. No,
She doesn't know.
Okay, that's why I thought that she's getting cheekier and cheekier while she's feeling amusement and contentment through the thing, because she's like over it. She's got a way out already. She's already figured out how she's going to get out of this. I don't know.
Really, doesn't Halima like take sort of like pleasure in like surping Margideon with like
And it's
being a woman but being able to
right
channel
at-
Sidin?
Right at the end of the book, where
Okay.
where Margideon gets freed. That is
Okay.
the only introduction.
It's weird and creepy hearing Margideon refer to Rand by his first name. Like she says to Nynaeve and Elayne, perhaps you should go to Rand.
Mm.
It feels like her trying to sort of like tug at the girl's emotions or like seem like overly familiar or something like that. Like, you don't know Rand. Don't say his name.
He's talking to me like he knows me. No, the like I think she's got it out. Or is it in this chapter as well that that she mentioned that Nynaeve thinks they've been too chatty in front of her?
It's in this chapter.
All right, because
They spoke too freely
they're
in front of
speaking
her.
too freely in front of her. And I think that maybe she's figured out that these people that captured her, they're actually idiots, and she's already found a way to manipulate her way out of it.
They're children.
Yeah. Like she was afraid, but she's seeing like the more and more time she spends with them, the more she's realizing she doesn't have to be that afraid. Like these guys have got
She
nothing.
probably also sees that they're not capable of like dealing with her
Yeah.
in a way that is more scary than like what she's already endured at the
Yeah.
hands of like the Dark One or Shaidaharan or like
Yeah.
any of the forces of the dark.
Exactly.
Like, okay, these guys are a bunch of muppets. They're not going to do much to me. I'll get out of here.
It's
eventually.
all
I
that
think that
matters
she's-
that at Dom. Like that's it. She's
Yeah.
just biding her time now.
In the meantime, she just has to clean a couple chamber pots and scrub some laundry.
Just some more
Um,
cleaning of the poop.
Yeah, I've got in big capital letters. They talk too freely in front of her. You fools! She is super smart. They definitely let more shit slip. You know that has happened. They are just Nynaeve and Elayne specifically just blurt stuff out.
Mhm.
And I wonder if we'll see Margideon confirm as much after she's freed, and we hopefully get another point of view chapter from her later. What else? The stakes of the Salidar Hall's decision are super high. The wrong decision will put nooses around their necks. Yikes. Yeah, it's true. No wonder everyone's on edge. Stoked for little kids, Marrigan's kids that are playing and laughing and running around again. Not little burnt out husks anymore.
Mhm.
Playing hacky sack.
Yes. And then Nynaeve, while she's taking a huge risk doing this like eavesdropping thing, she's thinking about how someday she'd like to be as brave as Elayne and Birgitte. Nynaeve, come on. she's got such a blind spot, right? Like she still thinks of herself as a coward, and she is doing this like incredibly dangerous thing that will definitely get her in like crazy trouble.
Oh, it comes. End of these chapters.
I guess. Okay. Oh yes. I love that section, by the way, but we'll get to it. That's all I had. So should we move along?
Let's
do.
All right then. Chapter 13 is called Under the Dust. Take us under the dust, Joe.
I've got this chapter, Under the Dust, and my other chapter is called A Pile of Sand. It's like, oh, right.
Real sandy, dusty affair
Dusty,
for you.
yes. So we're okay. Chapter 13. We're with Billy's favorite character, Nynaeve. She is sitting on the bed. She's soaked to the bone, wrapped in a towel, in the middle of her classes with Theodrin. Theodrin has been trying everything to break her block, and today she tried dousing her with a bucket of cold water to see if shock treatment would actually do it. It didn't do it. Spoilers. Nynaeve punched her in the face, and then Theodrin reflexively slapped the shit out of her. So, like, just bucket of water, punch, slap. Like, I imagine this all happened within 3 seconds, all reflexively.
Yeah.
And this is where I was like, also wrote here, I love these two. There should be more Theodrin scenes. So I actually went and looked up Theodrin and just to find out, like, oh, please God, don't let her be a Black Lasher or die in the next chapter. And she's supposedly alive. Like, they assume she survived the last battle. So she is there. She does some cool shit in the last battle, like pretends to be to be the Dark Friends to infiltrate people, and she takes on the Black Asherman, the Dark Friend Asherman, and a whole bunch of cool shit.
Nice.
And it's assumed later on that she's alive. Nothing is confirmed, but I assume she's alive.
Great.
Yeah, like I said, the shock treatment did nothing, but except make Nynaeve angry. So now she can't channel.
Vil, you look like you want to say something about this little episode.
No, just again, you've got not even really Aes Sedai woman yet, but now cleared she's that halfway Aes Sedai mode that uses waterboarding, water torture, and then follows that up with sleep deprivation.
Dumping water on someone is not waterboarding.
Oh, I know, but similarities, humor me, it is water being thrown on someone. And much like waterboarding, and
like I did with my children today.
You were swimming,
waterboarding
and they didn't have a block. Okay, so
hey, they're not eating their vegetables.
And then trying sleep deprivation later.
Yes,
I mean, there's
I have a note on
classic
that as well.
Trying to break people. Aes Sedai, like they are so cruel. The only difference between them is that they say they're in the light.
I will not allow this false narrative to be perpetuated.
Is that it?
But I get your point.
All right.
Yeah, that was my point.
Torture. Yeah, Theodrin is unfazed by all of this. She's going to soldier on. She's going to break Nynaeve's block if it kills her. And I have a note here as well, which it might actually do. If she carries on doing this shit, Nynaeve might actually kill you. Theodrin tells her, like, okay, dry out your dress using the one power, which is weird, since you can actually channel now since you're angry. Because, of course, you're not supposed to use the power for all these kind of things. But then again, Theodrin is not full Aes Sedai, so she may not be too keen or too worried about that. She draws out the water from the dress and just like drops it on the floor. And I thought, like, what the fuck, Nynaeve? And then Theodrin uses flows of air to make a sphere out of it. And then I, like Nynaeve, thought she's going to throw it at her. But no, because I read that part and I go, oh, she's going to throw it at her. And the very next sentence I read was, Nynaeve, is she going to throw that at me? No, she's not. She throws it out the window on top of the comic relief cat that was strategically placed outside the window. This is like, I'm not joking, this literally happens. She throws it on the cat and you hear, meow. So Nynaeve gets dressed and they continue on with basic novice lessons, which pisses her off even more because she's okay, we're going to start from scratch again. But if this shit had worked, she would have been doing it already. She's done this as a novice. But kudos to Nynaeve. She sticks with it, eh? Hours and hours and hours. Because, I mean, poor old Theodrin has the patience of a saint, bless that woman. And Nynaeve really wants to break this. Like, she is dedicated to breaking her block. Anyway, also I think it's who's helping her as well. Like she has a connection with Theodrin. Like they have a little friendship growing there, which I dig. So anyway, they end the session for the day with some mutual healing of the black eye that Nynaeve gave her, and the slapped jaw that Theodrin gave her back. So they head outside. In the street, this is Nynaeve. She sees Tarna Feir walking down the street like she owns the place, surrounded by curtsying and bowing, because apparently excessive curtsying and bowing. Apparently there was far less of this respect when she first arrived, but an Aes Sedai is an Aes Sedai regardless of who they support. So there are quite a few accepted and novices and serving persons that are out in the woods at this very moment burying poop as punishment for not showing the proper respect. She's starving now, Nynaeve that is. She missed breakfast and lunch during all of this stuff that was going on today. So like her stomach growls so loudly that a dude passing by is actually startled by the sound. I think maybe the cat was busy for the scene. But it's too late for food. They're already cleaning up the kitchen. She does manage to get a couple of apples and some cheese, the old usual road food, and heads back to her room. Elayne is there. When she gets back, she's exhausted from teaching novices and showing Aes Sedai how to create Tel'aran'rhiod. The novices won't listen to her, and one of the Aes Sedai almost died trying to create a Tel'aran'rhiod. Whatever she was holding in her hand turned into something that almost killed her. If Dagdara had not been there to heal her, she would have been fucking dead. So, yeah, stakes are high, as you said before. The conversation moves over to Moggy and learning how to detect a man channeling. They still haven't been successful. We know why now. Moggy suggested that they go to Camelin. Nynaeve agrees. She's trying to convince Elayne, but Elaine's having none of this. Elayne wants to stay. She's got faith that Nynaeve does not have, apparently. Nynaeve is concerned that the two kids, she's talking to her about why they should leave. They're having this discussion about the two kids, Jarrell and Seve. Seve is a Spanish name. That's Seve Ballesteros. You know golf, Moritz.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, old Seve. Where I live, actually, the golf course that we live on here was designed by Seve himself. So here he is. Respect.
Oh, wow.
So she's afraid that these kids are eventually going to mention, like, hey, this American is not our mother. If they haven't already mentioned it, since they now seem to be okay in playing and speaking again and all that stuff. But, Elaine's like, these wouldn't be the first kids that are being taken care of by somebody that's not their mother. It's not the end of the world. Unless Marigan actually killed their mother in front of them and took the kids as their cover. I don't know. She's capable of anything. Or she may have just found these kids on the road. So, also, like Willie mentioned, the Aes Sedai are going to start realizing that Nynaeve is capable of these amazing things, but she has a block. She pissed off all day. Someone's going to figure things out eventually. And she's right. She has a point. It's time to go. Nynaeve tells Elayne about eavesdropping on the Aes Sedai and about them saying that they need more time. So she's concerned that they'll be handed over to Elayne when the tower reunites. Yeah. So
fair.
Yeah. All of these things are valid assumptions to be made.
The tower reunites. Elayne is in Elayne's grasp.
Yeah. So yeah, nobody wants that. Elayne, of course, wants to stay. She doesn't think that the Salidarians will rejoin Elayne. She doesn't believe that's going to happen. And she wants to be sure that they will support Rand. And, of course, is waiting for Tom. Julian is he doesn't really matter so much, but Tom. Waiting for him to come back, and she doesn't want to leave him behind. So she's got a lot of reasons to stay. Some of them practical, and others, I don't know, naive. Naive. There's two very similar words. Suddenly they feel channeling, and the door bangs open with the flows of air, and it's Tarna. So she's there. She's heard the rumors that they were in Salidar. It's a small town. Shit gets out. She's there. She tries to convince Elayne to come back with her to the White Tower. She's like, the Amryn has a soft spot for you. I'm sure she does. But Elayne says, no, thanks. My place is here in Salidar, and when everybody else goes back, I'll go back with them. So Tarna's like, all right, fine. Fuck off, basically. Dismisses her. She wants to talk to the Wilder. And then as soon as Elayne leaves, the arrogant haughtiness fades from Tarna. She's way more relaxed. She lies on the bed, puts her feet up. She's like, chill out, Nynaeve. I'm not going to bite you, blah, blah, blah. But Nynaeve sees through this fucking charade instantaneously. Her face changes, but her eyes don't. It's like when your maths teacher pretends to be cool. It's like it's not working. She's trying to sweet talk Nynaeve. She used to be a wilder herself, did you know, with a block as well, until Galena Caspan beat it out of her. No surprises there. That's how Galena would deal with this. So apparently,
that's what she does with things.
Yes, she's a beater.
Beats them.
Yeah. She couldn't, apparently, Tarna couldn't channel with her eyes open, which kind of makes it difficult to see flows if your eyes are closed. So that was her block. But the beautiful and resourceful Galena helped her gently to break this block. So they all want her and Egwene for their connection to Rand. The questioning continues here, really, like the same shit over and over. So Nynaeve has to tell her the same thing that she told Aes Sedai, like he's stubborn. If you try and tell him,
she doesn't actually.
Yeah, she does. She tells him.
She tells Tarna the direct opposite.
No. She
tells the other Aes Sedai that he can't be pushed. You need to either lead him or convince him that it's the right thing. And then Tarna, she gives the option. She says you need to force him into or drag him kicking and screaming to do stuff. She's purposefully giving Tarna the wrong advice about Rand.
I read that completely differently. All right. That's why there's three of us. All right. Okay. So she tells her that stuff. Edited it. And
that was my read on it anyway.
All right. No,
let us know,
perhaps,
listeners.
I mean, there's three of us. Yeah, we can all go look at it. But Nynaeve, tells her that stuff. She tries to convince Nynaeve that Elayne will treat Rand with all the honor he deserves as the Dragon Reborn. And I'm like, no, I don't think that is the truth. She's convinced these rebels will come crawling back like birds on their bellies. Nynaeve, Elayne, and Egwene will be raised to full Aes Sedai. The tower will be healed. She's giving them this, like, if you guys come back, everything will be fine again. I don't know if she truly believes that, because I did Google as well, and she is not a Dark Friend. She's not Black Asha.
No. Not yet.
Not yet. No. She gets turned, doesn't she? She
gets turned.
Yeah, but the way I read that was that it's not confirmed 100%. Her attitude just changes one day, and they just assume.
Her attitude changes, but she has that same dead look in her eyes, and all those sort of like those sort of vague descriptors of someone that has been forcibly turned to the shadow.
That's such a...
And she's at the Black Tower when it happens.
Yes.
When that has been happening a lot.
Yeah. All right. So, yeah, at the moment, I think that she may be sincere that she don't... I mean, obviously,
she's on the up and up.
I mean, most of the Aes Sedai want the tower to be healed. They just have different objectives and how to get there. So, anyway, seeing that she's not going to convince Nynaeve so easily, she buggers off with an invitation for them to go with her back to Tarbalon when she leaves in the morning. They're like, no, Nynaeve as well. This is like, no thanks. But she's like, listen, just think about it, and we'll talk again in the morning. Also, leaving the info that she knows that Leanne and Swan are here in town, and also a hint that she might know about Loghain as well. Other interesting persons, So.
Some other odd folk.
Yes, some other odd folk. Leaving Nynaeve to believe that, listen, there's a lot of people in this town that are working for the tower, like the White Tower. There's informants here. Like obviously, if you guys have got informants elsewhere. Because, I mean, is it in this chapter or the chapter, I don't know, in these chapters that you hear, like, guys, like a general dude in the street, like, talking about the tower and really loudly saying, like, yeah, Elayne's not that bad and stuff like that. Like, there's agents in the town.
Yeah, it's in this stretch, people speaking.
Yeah, speaking super
people
loudly.
I think... You're made to think that they are plants from the tower to sort of build up the tower's reputation again from within.
Yeah. Elayne doesn't return at that point. Nynaeve waits around a bit, but then she goes hunting for her with no luck. But when she gets back, she meets Elayne back at the house. Elayne is also just returning. She went to go get the dream Tel'aran'rhiod from Swan. They are going to use Need in Tel'aran'rhiod tonight to figure out what to do next. So I'm staying. You want to go. We don't know what the Aes Sedai are planning. We need to find our own shit. We need to get some answers, basically. So we're going to use that whole, Need thing, which is a super handy plot device, I must say.
You should be doing this constantly.
Exactly.
Everybody should be doing this all the time.
Like this and Fades just teleporting all over the planet into shadows. Another two very, very overlooked amazing things that should be happening all the time. Nynaeve sets an ultimatum for Elayne. Like, look, okay, we'll go. If we don't find anything useful in Tarvalon, we go to Camelot. Elayne's like, cool, but if we do find something useful, then we stay. Deal. Reluctantly, they agree. Okay, fine. But first, dinner, then Dudus. The hall is feasting Tarna, and Gareth is making himself seen again. He is up in their faces all the time. They won't invite him to any of the feasts or any of the meetings, but he is making himself seen as to be like, listen, you know, you've included me in all of this planning. Like, I'm strategic to everything we're doing here, and he's not going to be ignored. He's sitting outside the feast on a box, eating like in the light of the window, in full view of everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, Tarna knows who the fuck he is as well. So she knows that they're building an army. Also, there were tons of soldiers when she arrived. Like, the streets have been cleared of soldiers. They're not allowed to, but she's already seen it. Also, there's an entire army camped outside the town. The news is going to get out. Theodrin's last instruction was for Nynaeve to stay awake all night, because this is the sleep deprivation tactic. Let's see if that works. But obviously, if you have to go into Tel'aran'rhiod, you need to lie down and have a nap. So this supersedes those instructions. So in Tarvalon, they hold hands and think on the need and blah, blah. Bam, they're in the White Tower. They catch a glimpse of Egwene, but she legs it quickly. She's like, I'm totally sure I saw Egwene there. Later on, we find out she was there. They use need, then, of course, again, to find themselves in a storeroom in the White Tower, full of Ungriel and Tel'aran'rhiod. But they realize that, listen, this can't be it, because there's no way we're going to be able to get here in the real world. But it does seem to suggest that what they need is an Ungriel or a Tel'aran'rhiod or a Sa'Ungriel or something along those lines. So they use the filter settings to exclude places that they can't go, but that do have Tel'aran'rhiod. And bam, they're in Ebou Dar. They walk around, they try the need thing again to get more specific. Bam, small street. They keep saying need, etc., etc. Trial and error until they narrow it down. They keep doing this until they are in a storeroom again, and then in front of a box. And eventually the box is open, and both of them open their eyes, and they're touching the bowl of winds. Here it is, people. Dun dun dun. They don't know it's the bowl of winds at this point, of course. They figure out quite quickly once they're touching it. I think Elayne as well, not to mention the fact that it has moving clouds on it.
Yes.
But Elayne's also...
Magic bowl,
obviously. But Elaine's like, immediately, this is a Ungriel, and it does something with the weather. She is 100% certain to do. So also, she realizes in this room, not only is there this, but there's a cache of shit here. There is Ungriel, Sa'Ungriel, even maybe they don't know. They got to find this room, because... holy shit, this is a treasure trove. No one, and it's not like the storeroom in the tower, which is all neat and clean. This place is abandoned. It's covered in dust and it's all a jumble. So somebody packed this here and forgot about it. We need to find it. So they walk outside, because they have to go get a better idea of where they are, so they can come here in the real world. But this city's a fucking maze. They had to just wing it when they get here. So they have a general idea, though. They get lost, a bit cruising around in the streets, but they find a bridge and stuff. They go, okay, they're going to have to come back. So stepping out of the Tel'aran'rhiod, Elayne immediately goes to sleep, but Nynaeve figures, actually, since I'm awake, I'll follow Theoden's instructions, and gets settled down for a long night awake, but is full of desire to channel that, so much desire that it actually makes her cry. She is so keen on breaking this fucking block. And so am I, because I'm tired of hearing about it. And that's how we end.
Yeah.
Bam.
Yeah. Willie, you look like you are champing at the bit to just spew forth all sorts of incredible insights and questions.
Spewing is on his mind, maybe.
Yes, but spewing up my nose. Okay. Ebou Dar, we know there's a new destination. There's a room full of Ter'aran'rhiod, Sa'Ungriel, Ungriels.
And it's right there.
This chapter doesn't give you a lot. It's pretty boring.
No. There's a cool little bit of foreshadowing in here, though. When Nynaeve is thinking about her block, she goes, I'm not very good at surrendering. And another thought she has, she could not breathe underwater. Sort of saying, it's not something she can do anything about. But that's exactly how she breaks her block. by drowning and having to surrender. So like both those statements
So,
are directly related
what
to
you're
actually
saying,
losing her.
if Theodrin definitely fully
Waterboarded
waterboarded
her.
she
She
might have
actually-
broken a block.
Almost had it.
So
Yeah.
the conclusion there, Willie, is that even though the Aes Sedai do not torture, they would stand to benefit from it if they did.
Mm. They should
Lots of
take up
regimes
some
have
of the
benefited
methods
from
of the
torture.
Dark One.
That's why
Yeah.
it exists. Does she break her block in this book, Willie?
No.
No.
All right.
We used
God
a couple of
damn
books
it.
off her breaking her block. We've got a long
'Cause
way
they do it
to
in-
go.
In Ebou
I
Dar,
think it's 2 more books, Joe.
because she's in Ebou Dar when she does it.
I think they're in Ebou Dar for ages.
Oh, God.
Like 2 books.
All right.
Yeah, it might be 2 books. Actually, I lied. I don't think it... Oh, is it in Path of Days?
9?
I don't know.
I think it's in book
Time
9.
will tell.
she
No, 9.
breaks a block.
No, she's already cleansing the soul, so she's well on her way by then.
That's true.
Well, in between now and 9. There you go.
At least Nynaeve can admit to herself that she actually wants Theodrin to be successful and to help her
Yeah.
break her block. At
Mm.
least Nynaeve isn't being stubborn about that. She is like, she's doing all this stuff to sort of, she's grumbling about it, but she's going, okay, fine, I will try and do the thing that Theodrin asked me to do, and I will try
Yeah.
to break my block. And the fact that she's crying at the end of this chapter is actually quite touching. Like,
Yes.
she desperately wants to be able to channel
But
whatever she
she's
can, no
crying
matter
out
how
of
sort
anger,
flippant she
and
is.
she's not surrendering. She's
Which
just
is really-
angry.
Oh, you heart of ice, Vol.
I
Have some sympathy for our
I
girl.
had massive sympathy with Mogideon earlier. Like, I mean, she's got a brown necklace on her neck.
Wrong girl,
and
wrong
she's
girl.
being tortured. She's got to empty out poo pots. Poor woman. I mean, give her a
Shame.
break. I mean, she's only a Forsaken. Like, it's not.
What
like
has
she's
she done
the
to
Dark
deserve
One.
this, Willie? Like,
What has she done?
She is probably out of all the Forsaken done the least. Like, she likes to hang back in the shadows. She's kind of like the player that gets picked last.
she's no, that was Asmodean.
Ooh.
He's the Forsaken that got picked last
Yeah,
of
that
teams.
Nynaeve says if they go to Camelin, they can tell Rand not to trust any Aes Sedai. Too late.
No need, ladies.
I had a laugh when Nynaeve tries to show she can be as civil as Elayne when confronted by Tarna. She still adds the Aes Sedai honorific as an afterthought.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like she's
Trying.
still like, oh, Aes Sedai. Yeah, and she did it,
Yeah.
at least.
She had a long pause and then a
Um,
dirty look from the Aes Sedai and then did it. But yeah. Potato, potato.
My last question was, why do Swan and Leanne have the right to visit Tel'aran'rhiod again? Is it because they are managing their eyes and ears network from within there?
Yeah.
Okay. Because they seem very, like, running around. I mean, Egwene comments on it later. Like, she sees them all the time, and the stocky woman with the purposeful walk is there solidly as if she's using the stone ring. And she's using the OG stone ring.
Yeah.
And Leanne is the sort of using the copy. So, okay, that was, I just wanted to check with you guys, like, why is it that the Salidar Aes Sedai are just letting them run around in Tel'aran'rhiod? I think it's the eyes and ears thing.
Yeah.
That's also what they can
Yeah.
do to help, because they a little bit more advanced, let's say, in their training of going into Tel'aran'rhiod.
Certainly more so than
And they
other
can't
Aes Sedai
channel.
have.
Yeah, so they can't do anything else. So, okay, cool, give it that little bit. They can go play in dreams and sleepwalk around.
I wonder if they had to get good enough, could they make themselves be able to channel in Tel'aran'rhiod by just believing it to be true?
Mm.
Who knows?
Mm-hmm. And then step out of it in the flesh, channel a little bit before it fades.
Oh,
Plans.
interesting.
Not an awful lot in that chapter, but that one big plot device, right? Bolov wins.
Yes.
What do they call that in stories? Is that a MacGuffin?
A MacGuffin.
Yeah. It's the thing that drives the plot. It's their reason for going to Ebou Dar and that whole arc. Anything else?
Not from my end.
No? All right. Well, then we'll move on to chapter 14 called Dreams and Nightmares. Weave us a dream and nightmare scenario, please, Willie.
I will weave you more than a dream. I will weave you a Boone and Mills novel. Was it
Mills and Boone.
Mills and Boone? That one.
Same thing.
Yes. Egwene is supposed to be sleeping and resting and healing up after nearly being killed by Lanfear. Being not healed by any Aes Sedai, she's doing it the OG way, which is lying in bed, chicken soup, plenty of rests, couple of weeks. Maybe a bandage or two here or there being dabbed down. And what does she do when she's been instructed to take it easy and follow doctor's advice? She does the opposite, and every single night she's entering the world of dreams in the flesh. She's dreamwalking now. She's
not entering in the flesh.
in the dream. Same, different. There's different ways to get into the internet. Anyway, she's missioning around there. She gets a glimpse of Elayne and Nynaeve, and she darts because her job there is now just looking for scraps of information. She's just trying to get all the goss without being seen, because if she's seen, she's going to be in a heap of shit. And there's many times that, but she's now going around, and then she finds Elayne's dream, like checking on Elayne. Seems a couple of times now already, and we can all assume what Elayne dreams about. And she is then off-sided by one of Gawain's dreams. That is just hero and maiden, and Rand's the villain, and Gawain's the hero, and she's the maiden in distress, and all valor and kisses and sweepings off feet, and yada yada yakety
laying
yaketa,
down on grassy
laying
hills.
ground on hay middens, looking into eyes, the clearings of loves, of kisses, of more and more and more. But I will leave that there. You can go and read all that dribble yourself.
I will never read that again.
It's terrible.
This is the part where I was thinking, oh, thank God I didn't get this chapter.
Well, it's yeah. She had a
better.
Mills and Boone episode. And she gave into it, which she should be really, really careful of. And this prompts a question a bit later about, hey, why should a person not check on someone with emotions? And the wise ones crack a fat joke about this, but I think I'm getting into your chapter, Joe. Now we jump back to the happiest person in the Wheel of Time, Nynaeve. She's now tired. She's now stayed up all night trying so that she can check if this Theodrin sleep deprivation torture is going to get her to break a block. But no, still nothing. She's just tired now. Tired and angry. And all of a sudden, screams and chaos, and she's up and she's trying to channel because she's angry but not angry enough. And it is the comical scene where the teapots come alive, and I can't remember what cartoon this was. Was it in
Fantasia?
Fantasia, yes, that was it. And the teapots come alive, and the sheets come alive, and they're trying to strangle Aes Sedai in the beds, and the axes come alive, and they chopping
This
to
does
their
not sound
shoulders.
comical.
Oh, well, it's kind of like it's unbelievable.
People died.
It's evil. People died. Okay, it's not
So
funny.
put this
I know.
scene in your mind of like sheets strangling women until they're gargling, and then put that Fantasia music over it. It's all fun and games.
Fun and games. Anyway, everyone is up and about. Everyone needs to channel. Everyone needs to help. It's just chaotic. The Aes Sedai of the whole, and specifically Anaya, thinks that this is an attack by the Forsaken. And we have a plan for this. Stick to the plan, kind of. And the more Nynaeve wants to tell her, like, no, this is a bubble of evil. And she's going to be like, you might as well say it's a bubble of bubblegum. It doesn't mean a thing to Anaya. But Anaya is, okay, cool. The thing that's going to work here if we link so we all should link. And she gets some accepted, and Nynaeve and Elayne to open themselves up and link with her. And all of a sudden, Nynaeve isn't angry. For the first time since conception, Nynaeve's not angry. She's having
Pre-birth.
all this blissful feelings that she's never in her life experienced. Like, she feels so close to the woman, and she can feel so, and the little smiles get thrown, and it's just, she might right then been able to channel. Like, I reckon right there, she would have been able to channel normally by herself without any anger being involved. And now, while this is all going down, all of a sudden, Nicola has an episode of herself, of her own, and she just starts blurting out words that mean nothing. The lion's sword, the dedicated spear, and she who sees beyond. There on the boat, and he who is dead. Yet, likes the great battle is done, but the world is not done with battle. The land divided by the return, the guardians balance the servants. The future tethers on the edge of a blade. And then, what are you talking about, girl? And she's like, what, where? And no one knows. No one seems to realize that, Nicola had a foretelling, which is a first foretelling, with some tasty little red herons there.
But this is like post final battle stuff.
It's after it's a foretelling from after Tarna Feir.
Yeah.
After Tarna Feir, it's believed. So, do you want to run through what we have there? We've got the lion's sword, which I assume is Elayne. The dedicated spear is Abienda. And she who sees beyond is the lovely Min. And they are his three, and they are all on a boat of he who is dead. This Rand's death. There, what's it? Yet lives, dead, yet lives. Okay, so that's Rand dying and coming back. The great battle done, so that's the end of Tel'aran'rhiod. But the world's not done with battle. So, no.
The Sean Chan is still there.
Yeah, isn't that the the land
divided by the return.
That's the Saunchan. So you've got your split between the Saunchan and Randland people standing up to the Saunchan. And the guidance balance, what's it? Guidance balance the servants.
Guardians balance the servants.
So who's
Ashaman and Aes Sedai?
That's right. That's Ashaman that are bonding to Aes Sedai.
And also, sure. I mean, what does Ashaman mean again?
Not guardian.
Aes Sedai is servants
of
all, right?
Yeah. Is everyone...
Three quick Googles?
Who can do it first?
Well, I'm not even touching anything. You guys Google it.
Ashaman. Old tongue. Guardian.
I was like, there's no way it could be Guardian. Okay, well, there you go then. That's pretty fucking clear.
Yep. And I think it just because it's not the bonding necessarily, but like the Ashaman are now there and it balances out the Aes Sedai. Saidin, Salidar, they are now around. Male channelers, channeling untainted, balancing the Salidar females.
Anyway, that pretty much brings that chapter to an end. It's not a particularly long one.
It's a lot of sort of action, right? Like them getting novices out of the room and like Nynaeve noticing that the circles are mostly novices with just a couple Aes Sedai leading them, which is something that'll come up in Jody's chapter where she addresses it head on. But yeah, it's an attack from a bubble of evil. Apparently, like the poor soldiers didn't have Aes Sedai with them to sort of control the flying objects, and they're surrounded by weapons. So there's a lot of like weapons flying around. So it's like, let's say like 100 soldiers died.
100 soldiers died, yeah. There's like 7 people that died, or 7 or 9 in the village itself. I mean,
7.
It's harder to kill someone with a sheet unless you are Epstein.
No, the clarification, it's easy to kill yourself with a sheep
It's easy to kill yourself with a sheep. That's right.
if you believe the story that he killed himself.
Oh, getting political.
Well, no, just conspiracy theory.
It's fantasy, all fantasy.
Yes,
Same
we
genre.
only talk fantasy. To the NSA agents listening to this, it's all fantasy, man.
Yeah, allegedly. Egwene can't identify Swan and Leanne at a distance. I mean, it's just their faces that changed a little bit. Like if you saw someone moving around but you couldn't see their face, someone that you knew quite well, especially two people that are known associates, right? Like Swan and Leanne move together a lot in the real world. If you saw someone 20 meters away and you couldn't see their face, like if you know them, usually you can go, oh yeah, it's that person.
Yeah.
Especially she's describing how Swan walks. It's almost like, listen to your words that you are using. Of course that's Swan.
Yeah, look, I agree with you, but also I'm not particularly perturbed about this one. I mean, I can understand
I thought it
Leanne.
was just-
Her
come on,
face
Robert.
is very different, and she's dressed in a tight Domani dress. Like, she is nothing like she used to be.
Okay.
That I can believe. But yeah, like Swan, I don't know.
Go on.
No, no,
Go
no.
on. Rand put Elayne in charge of Kyrian. Did we know that?
It's news to me. No.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
When? Is this not a foretelling?
Elayne arrived when he took Carrion. Like the second day, Elayne arrived there. And Rand had with her and Rock, basically the two of them are in charge of Carrion. Elayne because she knows how to strategically run a city, and Rock to do the heavy lifting.
I didn't realize because Rand never officially left Kyrian behind. He went off to go fight Ravin with like a bunch of Aiel that he gathered in the square. To my thinking, would come back again afterwards. But then he just sort of stuck around in Camelin for a while.
Yeah, this all slipped by me unnoticed as well, Moritz. This is all news to me.
Now, Elayne
Okay, well,
is
if you say-
she is looking. Rock is the heavy hand, and she's the thinker.
Are you
of
sure
stuff.
you're not calling on things that you've read in this book, Will?
It gets touched again later in this book.
I feel like it gets touched the first time later in this book. But anyway.
I'm pretty sure it was touched on in the past.
So because Rand, from what we've seen, Rand has not been to Kyrian in a chapter that we've read since he left to fight Ravin.
He's
And
been spotted
Moraine was
in
still
3
with him
cities
that
at
morning.
once. Was the previous when
Yeah, but-
there's
Yeah, I concede that he's going to Kyrian. We have not read about Rand going to Kyrian
No.
since he left to fight Ravin.
no, he'll go back there later, but not now.
So before he went to go fight Ravin, did he have a meeting? I mean, Ruach went with him on that thing. So he didn't leave Ruach to fight. Oh, no, was it Baal?
It was Baal.
I think Baal went with him.
Baal.
Anyway, I just don't remember Rand having a meeting with Elayne before going to fight Ravin to say,
Well,
you are now in charge of the city,
put a
as
pin
if he's
in it.
going to Camelin
They're gonna have to.
permanently.
This is a pitiful
Anyway.
offense.
I'm splitting hairs here. We can just assume from this might be just the way that RJ is telling us Rand left Elayne in charge of Kyrian.
Yeah, I agree with you, Moritz. This seems like a
by-
major decision to make. Leave a foreign leader in charge of the
Yes.
country and just like offhandedly mention it later on. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
But she's a steward, not
Yes.
leader.
She's a Denethor.
Also, because Lord Dobrain is still there, isn't he?
Moritz, digging this hole deeper and deeper, man.
The older Dobrain. Older Dobrain also has the soldier haircut with the grey hair, and he's sort of well respected, and he's the one that Rand thinks when all those lords come ahead in front of him, the Terrans and the Kyrenian, Rand sort of sums them up as well, and Dobrain is the only one that seems sincere, and he's like, okay, cool, yeah, I'm with you now. This is what we're doing. Anyway, he seems like the incumbent sort of leader in Kyrian. Leanne nodding sort of acceptingly at the blue stables. Like, Egwene notices that she's nodding, sort of like, okay, at the stables having just freshly been painted blue. So, two things. Is Elida throwing shade at the blue Arger by painting the stables blue in the tower?
Probably.
A, why are the stables painted blue? And then B, why would that be Leanne's reaction? Is she sort of going, okay, bitch, I see what you're doing. We'll see how this works out for you.
Naive. I didn't look
No.
too deep or think too deep into that.
I just saw the blue connection.
weird.
I was like, oh, she was blue. Maybe she's happy to see stuff blue in the tower again. But yeah, it was the stables, right?
But the stables, yeah.
It wasn't the big
Because
styes.
we know that Elida wants the blue Arger out. So maybe it's like a slight.
That seems like something petty that Elayne would do, yes.
Maybe she's thinking that, like, you know, Elida's sort of bold moves against the blue Archer sort of further invalidates her reign as Amyrlin, making the case for removing her even easier. Like, if she can be so petty as to try and expand or, like, you know, expel the blue Archer completely and then paint the stables blue as like this sort of childish, spiteful thing, Leanne might be going, okay, cool, Elida, keep fucking giving yourself rope with which to hang yourself.
Honestly, like, I mean, it's the white tower. It's glistening white marble stone that's been used. Why would you want to paint it? I mean, surely the stables are also part of the white tower's, like, theme of architecture. These are the royal stables for the white tower. And now let's just paint the
Wood would
stones.
feature prominently as well.
Well, they're not peasants living on a farm. So they'd have,
You
like,
can have the
proper
doors will be
stables.
made out of wood, not Ogier crafted stone.
Yeah, okay.
Sungwood.
Doors.
Sungwood. And they
Let's
painted.
paint the sungwood blue.
Now you pissed off the Ogier as well.
I wouldn't put it past
Uh,
Elida to piss off the Ogie anyway.
No. It's probably on a morning list of things to do anyway.
Yeah, chop off its steading strings to make a hotel or a new palace of rooms.
Yeah, what is the area that they have inside Tarvalon? The Ogier Gardens or what are they
Grove.
called?
Gardens?
Grove.
Grove. The Ogier Grove. Yeah, that's also things like remove Grove. This is like one of the list of
Remove
Yes.
growth and build
Yes.
own house here with wood
Yeah.
from trees
Yes.
of the grove.
build spa retreat
Discard
in
garbage
Grove.
in streets.
Yeah, she's still busy with her
Um,
palace as well, though. Where's she building that?
Mhm.
In the Ogier Grove, we
I
just
think on the tower grounds.
In the Ogier Grove. Yeah, that's where she's getting
Yeah,
the wood
using
from.
the trees from the grove. Yeah.
That's the closest source.
Another little point in Galad's column for me on this reread, like, okay, I can see, because Gawain says here of Galad, half the reason he became a White Cloak is because of the Aes Sedai's treatment of Egwene and by extension Elayne as well. So it's not something I'd ever considered before. Like, Galad might have been like, what? Be a warder, work for these people that made A, my love interest, and B, my sister disappear without any word to our mother or myself about where they are. Maybe they're not such great people, and that's why he joined the White Cloaks.
This,
I mean, it's not a great reason.
no.
I mean,
But look,
it makes
reasoning in
total
this
sense.
book.
Like, join the
What?
team that chops off the woman's hands that can channel and burns them at the stake, and hang their dead corpses because they found them when they were dead, and still claim victory. Our victory! We've done it! Hang the corpse of the witch.
The chopping of hands thing is a TV show lore item that I will not take on as canon.
Look,
Yeah.
besides that, let's not go down that rabbit hole. The love connections. I was going to say the love boat for a second. Everybody's in love with everybody, but there's no reason behind it. Like Gawain, for example, is fucking obsessed with Egwene, and he spent like literally physically in her presence. What? 7 minutes in his entire life.
3 seconds. If
Gawain as well is in love with her.
She's pretty special.
Moraine and Tom. Lan and Nynaeve. In the book, it's just like all of a sudden, everyone's in love. Just like, why? When did all this happen?
Moraine and Tom spent some time together off screen. Actually, like more than I think
Yeah.
the others.
Okay, maybe it's just because we don't see it coming. It doesn't mean it's not there. But yeah, there's a lot of these
And
relationships.
also, all
that
these
is like,
characters, and all these characters are deeply flawed. I mean, Gawain, like is a emotional person. He acts on emotion all the time. All his hatred for Rand because of his mother's perceived death, his love for Egwene, like he is not a good decision maker. So of course he's going to just fall head over heels.
And now he's a battle commander with men underneath him.
Yeah.
I'm really bad at decisions.
A deadly one. Yeah. My last question here is, why was Nynaeve frowning when they let go of the link? The end of the chapter. Nynaeve sort of comments on it, like,
I think maybe because she had heard.
Strange.
Because I think when you link, you can feel how strong everyone else is. And like she had heard how strong Nynaeve was, but when you actually feel it, she's like, whoa. Like this opens, now she's making all new plans. Like, I got her.
But Nynaeve comments on it, and then she goes, then a thought sort of comes up in the corner of her mind, but she couldn't quite put her finger. Like it starts Nynaeve thinking about something, like she's realizing something. And I wonder if it is the stuff that you're going to cover in the next chapter, Jody, that she confronts the Hall about. Like when Anaya is sort of like disappointed that it wasn't actually a Forsaken attack, that maybe she was hoping that it was. Like,
well, I don't go into that
foolishly and naively hoping for a confrontation with Samael?
I don't know. We can bring that up because we can go into that more detail because I did not go into super detail about everything that Nynaeve says in that tirade later on. But we can cover it then.
All right, well, if there's nothing else, then let us carry on to that chapter.
Yes.
Vil, did you have anything you wanted to add there?
No, I'm all good, thank you.
All right, then. Chapter 15 is called A Pile of Sand. Jody, dig us out of this pile of sand.
At least it's not a pile of poop because there's a lot of that going around. Well, Egwene, we're with Egwene again. She's just waking up, blushing still from Gawain's dreams. You totally threw me.
It was a real Winnie the Pooh laugh, wasn't it?
Totally. It's like you just found your pot of honey. This is something that Willie mentioned earlier. Like, she totally gives in to his dream. Like, she gets absorbed into it. Why is she waking up now? What happened? How did she get out? I thought this was like death if that happened to you in Tel'aran'rhiod. Like, that's it. You're fucked. You're gone forever.
Well, if you are sucked
It's not that you're gone forever.
It's just that you're sucked into it for that time and you can't...
And then the dream ends when the other person wakes up.
Okay. All right. I thought it was like the way they always made it sound. It's like such a dangerous thing. Like, got to be careful of this,
Well, you lose control, which does happen to Egwene.
Yes.
Like, she gets sucked into it. So she's trying to fight it. She's trying to will, like, the bonds off her hands and all that sort of stuff. And none of her, Tel'aran'rhiod powers work here because she's not in Tel'aran'rhiod.
Yeah.
She's in a person's dream.
So effectively, she is at the mercy of the person's dream that she's in. And if that person had great hate for her, it could have resulted in her death. But in this case, it resulted in her having an orgasm in a dream, hence waking up all blushed and flushed. Because she got
resulted in a thorough shame.
Gawain loving.
Can you get killed in another person's dream?
Yes,
if they kill you.
Because this is not Tel'aran'rhiod.
Yeah, but I think it's because you entered through Tel'aran'rhiod. Like, the rules apply.
But she also didn't do that.
Yes, she did.
She's not in Tel'aran'rhiod. She's in that void.
Oh, dude, I don't know the rules. She's not in Tel'aran'rhiod.
Dream mechanics. Why is it so hard to comprehend?
It's like she's not in Tel'aran'rhiod. She's in the place behind Tel'aran'rhiod. And it's confirmed, that these are dreams of every human in every reality as well.
Plane of reality, exactly.
And that sometimes when you look into some of them from another reality, your brain can't handle it. Like, it's like looking into a shattered mirror and stuff like that. It's like, whoa, that's cool. I like that confirmation.
It is kind of cool.
Yeah. So anyway, she wakes up. A little bit of, I suppose, a little bit of morning glory. Her dream. So she decides, okay, enough of that. She's going to go and actually get some real sleep now. So she goes back to sleep because she's woken up. She's still got a headache. She's still not 100% fixed from that attack by Lanfear. So she goes back to sleep. She's not on any duty rosters this morning, and gets some real rest. So her dreams begin easily enough, again with Gawain, but not his dreams, luckily hers. But slowly but surely, they all turn into horrific dreams again, and weird dreams, and dream prophecies, and all kinds of things. She dreams of Perrin, like with a hawk and a falcon on each shoulder, each of those birds giving each other the stink eye. He's completely oblivious to it. There's a wolf at his feet. We know all of this stuff. No mysteries here.
No.
Another time, he's trying to run away from his axe, but it keeps following him. Yeah, no news there. Then she dreams of Matt, and Matt saying weird shit, and she figures it's the old tongue. Same old, same old. She sees two ravens on his shoulders, talons digging into his flesh, and he doesn't realize it. We know that's the Sean Chan connection. Now, two ravens, not one raven. Now, is it just because the Sean Chan symbol is like two ravens and not just a single raven? Like they always seem to come in twos.
I think so. The Prince of Ravens, right?
Yes. Or is it because there's two specific Sean Chan trying to? Because there's a shrouded woman beckoning him into danger. Is this Semirog because she's involved with Sean Chan and it's 2-1?
Maybe.
I don't know. There's a bit of a meh there for me. The rest of it's pretty straightforward. Then she dreams of Rand. She sees Elayne forcing him to his knees. On your knees. Made me think of that. Or there she sees Elayne and Min and Avienda circled around him or reaching out to him. It's like, all right, we know what that is. Then she sees him walking toward a burning mountain. Now, Dragon Mount? Or is that the actual entire mountain
Shal Ghul?
on fire? Shal Ghul? Burning mountain? Oh, okay. Anyway, he's walking and she heard...
It's got lava in it.
Yeah, I don't know what she means by burning mountain.
No.
Yeah, anyway. So
Neither does she.
Yeah, apparently not. Dreams, not very clear sometimes. His boots are crunching as he's walking, and she just knows without seeing that it's on the seals of the Dark One's prison. It's like, whoa, that's pretty fucking ominous. But yes, that's happening as well. And then also him gleefully skipping through Kyrian with his Asherman around him, just throwing lightning around at people and buildings and destroying shit, and giggling as he does it. Like a fucking madman. Yes, so that will happen as well. I don't know if it's specifically Kyrian that he does that in. Willie, any news about Kyrian in this book being attacked?
Lots.
Where does he face off against the Sean Chan in Path of Daggers? Is it Ilion? It's somewhere. There's a huge battle against the Sean Chan. He's wielding Kalandor and he's throwing lightning around, but then he starts killing some of his own men.
Yes, is that not outside Kyrian? That
might be.
All right, this might be it. All right, yeah, I remember that because there's a floor. He's like hiding in the forest outside the city and using Kalandor, and it's just causing chaos. All right.
Yeah.
So
collateral damage.
Yeah.
Collateral damage.
Very good.
Bravo,
sir. Bravo. She wakes up, Egwene that is, with the cow wind. The person with the least fortunate name in this book, poking her in the ribs for breakfast. Cowwind is one of these guys, Shan, who refuses to take off the white after Rand's whole mic drop scenario. Her year a day is up, but she is not leaving. So, but still getting more and more defiant. Like she's not as meek as she used to be. This is like a thing toward like something that Egwene notices behind her eyes. Like she used to be a maiden of the spear, and also that she's poking her in the ribs to wake up. Like fucking wake up. She's not doing it gently as well.
Do you know what this reminded me of?
What?
Bit of Samuel L. Jackson's character in Django.
Yeah,
like still a slave, but like a cheeky slave.
Sure. Wow. I never made that connection.
Same.
So she's like obviously she's in a tent, by the way, in the camp for the Aiel, outside of Kyrian still, right? If I'm not mistaken. or
I think so.
I think so. I just remembered that now. I didn't write that down, but I suppose it is. So Amis, Elayne, and Bear are there. They come to her tent. They also hear, because she sends Cowwind away, saying, look, because Cowwind's bringing her breakfast, and she's like, I don't want any breakfast. I'm not hungry. And this is just when Amis and Elayne and Bear come in, and they're like, oh, you're not hungry, are you? So you're not better yet, and no. They're very concerned about her because they were thinking of letting her go back to the meetings with the Aes Sedai and Tel'aran'rhiod. But if she's not eating, so she's like, no, I'll eat. All of a sudden, I'm fine. So they're kind of thinking of not letting her in. So because she's not 100% yet, she's trying to convince them that she is. She's lying to them. She just wants to carry on learning. It's just this Two Rivers stubbornness. The same thing with Nynaeve. She'll just carry on because she wants to break that block, and Egwene wants to continue learning. She's got lots to learn. There's not enough time. Let's get on with it. Amis says that she tried to look into her dreams 3 times the night before, but couldn't find them. And she's like, well, if you're not dreaming, then you can't heal properly. And Egwene's like, oh, fuck you. The reason you couldn't find my dreams is because I was,
not dreaming.
What's the word? Gallivanting. That's it. I love that word. Gallivanting around, not dreaming in other people's dreams, and all kinds of weird shit like that. So she's, freaking out now. Like, oh, fuck, maybe they're onto me. They're going to say something about it. So she just starts asking all these questions about, like, what can I get sucked into a dream? I don't know if this is the point that you were talking about, Billy, earlier. And then we find out that Elayne also, there's a joke about them, and Elayne got sucked into Bael's dreams or something. Is this? I don't know what's going on there. Apparently, it was funny.
One of them decided to spy on their husband because there was Elayne had a little tiff, and then Bael had in his dream pulled her in, and whatever Aiel men do to their wives when they are displeased with them, executed that in the dream, and she still carries
and everyone
shame
else
about it.
Thinks it's fucking hysterical.
Yeah, Aiel humor.
Yeah.
I just read it as like Elayne being sort of embarrassed that she allowed herself to be pulled into the dream, because they say outright, people don't do it. You don't go near the dreams of your loved ones, but Elayne did do it. So it's exposing a failing of Elayne's. And Bear is like, she mentions, like, in an example that I'm pulling completely out of the air, in no way related to a real world event, then lays the whole thing out, and Elayne is sitting there like fuming and trying to change the topic.
No, I took it like she got pulled in. She got pulled into that dream.
Yes,
she felt
because she went up to the dream to look inside, and then she got pulled in. She couldn't control it.
Yeah, but now I'm wondering, Billy,
that's why Amis and those guys miss it.
Is it just because of that, or is it because of what happened in the dream? And if it is because of something that happened in the dream, how did the other wise ones know about it? Did they have to go and rescue her?
Well, that's the thing.
Yeah, so like it could be a bit of both. Like Elayne knows what happened in the dream. And that's a bit of her embarrassment, but the others are like, you novice, you got caught for doing something silly.
Remember, the first rule of becoming a wise one is never talk about being a wise one.
Exactly. Rule 1. Okay, so anyway, that happened. They let her know as well that they've still been meeting with the Aes Sedai in Tel'aran'rhiod without her, but these Aes Sedai are all dumbasses. They are really, because they've been avoiding Aes Sedai now for 3,000 years because of their failure to serve them and whatnot. And now they're meeting them and like, seriously? We've been scared of these guys? Like, nah, can't be. They're making snakes appear in their dresses. I think it was Carlinia who suggested that the wise ones are actually holding Egwene against her will because they won't let her see her, they won't bring her back. So this pissed them off, and they just made some snakes appear in her dress, which they also thought was hysterical. And frankly, so do I. It was great. So Egwene also thinks this is funny, and she starts giggling with the wise ones over this, and they're like, you're getting our humor, nice. They say to her as well, like, we're pissed off with these stupid wetlanders, but not you. You're great. We love you. You're a sister to us. You're as far as we're concerned, you are Aiel already. They fully embraced her. They love her. But these others, they all fucking suck. One of her
not wrong.
So one of her questions again is like, can you be pulled into someone's dream unwillingly? They explain the mechanics here a bit, but Bear tells her like, yeah, not unless the emotion is very strong, as is the case that I am about to describe from the air that is not related to anyone in this room, etc., etc., etc. So that's basically what goes on there in the tent. We jump over to Elayne's point of view. They back in Salidar, obviously. They're awaiting the proclamation from the hall about what's going on, because everything is done. There's an escort ready to take Tarna back, and everyone's standing around on boxes and leaning over fences. The whole town is there, ready to find out what happened. Tarna walks out very unceremoniously, and she leaves with the escort that's been provided for her. And Romanda, being the oldest of the sitters, gets to announce what will be happening, what they've decided, and everything. Everybody is holding on bated breath. What are we going to do? And she says that everything is just going to carry on as normal. So fucking nothing. Nothing's happening. Nobody's doing it. Yep. Much to the chagrin of Nynaeve. Wait, guess what? She gets pissed off about this, Willie. I bet you didn't see that coming. Elayne is also not too stoked with this. Across the street, they see Leanne with a man. No news there either. So she has been developing this new network of male eyes and ears using her Dubani skills, and she is really good at it. So she's really out there. She's really like thrown herself into this new role, 100%, and she
sure has.
She is kicking butt. She's really doing it very well. Elayne is wearing the bracelet here still, and she feels fear and amusement from Moggy. Amusement? Because Moggy has also heard that they're not going to do it. Is Mogideon there somewhere listening to this proclamation as well and going, ha, losers. So she feels that coming through.
Busted ass towers.
These guys are fucking useless. That's why I think, like, just in general, not just the girls that are holding her captive, but also these Aes Sedai in general. Like, they are. Mogini is realizing these people are no threat to me. If they didn't have this Adam on my neck, I would tear this whole fucking place apart without anything. No problems. Speaking of Mogideon, she spent the night under the bed, unharmed by any of the sheets trying to strangle people and whatnot, not helping. She was not found afterwards helping anybody either. She literally has the Dark One's own luck. Literally and figuratively. Swan is there too. She pops up behind them and she gives them the numbers from the night before. This is where we hear about what happened. 7 died in the village, and it was nearly 100 in the army camp, because they had obviously swords and spears flying around, not stools and wash basins. And also no Aes Sedai there to channel and help them out. So shame. Poor guys. They tried to get more information out of her regarding what really went on in the meeting with Tarna and everything, but it's the same shit that they knew before. Like, the message from Tarna was, come back, it's cool now, come back to the tower, blah blah blah, everything's forgiven. Elayne even threatens Swan here to get more information, but that backfires because Swan is not so easily pushed around. But it's them that tell Swan that the Hall's answer of they need more time is news to Swan. She did not know that because she was not crawling under windows, eavesdropping to find that out. But Swan is obviously...
Is this where Swan finds out that they were spying?
Yes.
Yeah.
She's not happy about either the answer or the spying. She's also gives them a little speech about, like, you guys are going to be careful because you were impersonating Aes Sedai, you've been impersonating specific Ajas, like they're kind of like threatening each other back and forth. Swan wins. Is what we should take away from this. So people start dispersing. They're like, all right, well, Aes Sedai said get back to work. Nothing's changing. We're carrying on as usual. So everybody gets their work on. Nynaeve and Elayne, they go to find Sheriam to go and tell her about what they found in Tel'aran'rhiod and the Bowl of Winds and all that kind of cuck. They tell her their version of the story, of how they found it and whatnot, and they're trying to convince her to send them specifically to Ebou Dar. But the Hall at the end decides to send a letter to Mirilil? Mirilil is the correct pronunciation.
Mirilil.
Mirilil. With all the details on where to find it. Because they say Ebou Dar is no place for accepted. It's like, dudes, These two women have done more in the last 6 months than you've done in your entire freaking Aes Sedai career. But still, they are not going anywhere as far as they stand. They continue pleading and giving reasons why it must be them and they must go. And if there's nobody better equipped than Elayne to be able to discover all these Tel'aran'rhiod and things like that. She has a point and whatnot. But the Hall's like not convinced at all. This is where Nynaeve loses her shit and tells them that they're afraid and they're going to do nothing and blah, 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 blah. So this is literally 2 sentences, 4 lines that I've written for this entire tirade. Now, Moritz, is there something in your notes you would like to discuss at this point about what she says here?
She drops some heavy truth bombs that rings home with us Aes Sedai, for sure. Like, they are piss scared of Randolph Law. That's one thing that really comes through. Like, they don't know what to do with him because they are so shit scared of him. So they stalling for time. And I mean, the questions and answer chapter also was very based around the fact that they can't make a decision on Elida. They're scared to make a decision. There's no leadership or like driven leadership among them. There's just titled leadership.
Yeah.
And there's no trust. They don't trust each other. They didn't tell there's only 6 Aes Sedai that knew that the plan for an attack from Samael would involve linking with novices. That's why there's so many novices in the circles, right?
Yes.
They don't trust each other, so how are they ever going to do anything? And that's what Nynaeve is also getting pissed off about. And I think that's what she sort of cottoned onto from Anaya. They really thought it was an attack from a Forsaken, and when it wasn't, Anaya was confused. But I mean, that was their plan. Like a handful of Aes Sedai linking with a bunch of novices to fight one of the Forsaken.
Yeah.
Nynaeve's going, you haven't even told anyone else. And then later, I mean, Joe, I don't know if you finished summarizing the chapter, but at the end, they sort of walk off. There's a short section where they,
No, I'm not done. I'm pausing to go over what's happening in this tirade. Okay, cool. But yeah.
Okay, we'll get to it then.
Yeah. That's something I want to talk about as well there. So basically truth bombs. Truth bombs.
Yeah.
And I can feel Elayne's frustration here. It's like, oh, we were so close, like we were doing so well, and then Nynaeve just fucking loses her shit and ruins everything.
Yep.
And there they are, scrubbing pots, because that shit is not going to stand. So Nynaeve loses her shit. Everybody's like, well, you're not wrong, but you can't talk to us like that. Off you go. They both with their heads in big pots scrubbing there under the watchful eye of Elayne, everybody's favorite, not quite Aes Sedai, which just makes her fucking worse.
Was the chirp Elayne threw to Elayne once? Is your face still souring milk?
Yes, that was great.
Elayne, she's the bomb.
Yeah.
She's the goat. So they are basically scrubbing pots. Apparently, Phelan's pissed off about this because she had other shit to do today, and she was now told to go and watch them. So, even worse for them. Nynaeve even apologizes to Elayne for losing her temper. Is this growth? Is this character growth in Nynaeve? What now? But so Elayne apologizes back. She's like, I'm fucking sorry too. Anyway, and there they are, left scrubbing them pots.
Apparently, Elayne also said something during that tirade. She also chipped in, or she chipped in with something that was.
She got caught up in the moment.
You keep going. I'll look it up. Yeah, no, she did.
All right. Yeah. Carry on. So then, this is the last part you must have been alluding to. Moritz is the sheriff's point of view because they're spying on them, scrubbing the pots. It's her and Morven and Carlinia. I don't know if there's others there, but those are the named ones. They're looking through the fence at these novices. Accepted. And she says, okay, she regrets giving them this punishment, but she does call Elayne that wretched girl. So, we know that she is Black Archer, so fuck it. Carlinia asks her if instead they should have told them what less than a dozen Aes Sedai know. Is this the plan to get Egwene into the Amyrlin seat position so that they can control her? Is this what they're referring to? Or what are they referring to?
I think so.
I think so.
Yeah. They have a plan.
There's
So
definitely hints.
they're not
Yeah.
stalling because they don't know what to do. They're stalling because they're waiting on Egwene. They need to get her into Salidar and raise her so they have a puppet Aes Sedai Amyrlin Seed to control. So I don't think it's the fear of the tower of Elayne. Definitely shit scared of Rand. Yes, Morven here admits it as well. She's like, he turns my bowels to water, that guy. Like, and Sheriam wonders if they've not already run out of options on what to do at this point. Like, I mean, we can't stall forever. We don't know what to do about Rand. We need Egwene, the puppet, Amyrlin Seed, but she's out of our reach. That's why they were in the world of dreams, asking about her all the time. Are you keeping her captive?
Yeah.
Yeah, some snakes in your dress. Yeah, and that's how the chapter ends. What did you find, Moritz?
It's just like I was trying to look for what Elayne had done wrong in that tirade of Nynaeve's, and what Nynaeve says to her is, they wouldn't have let us go to Ebou Dar anyway, Nynaeve muttered, and I didn't do all the kicking of ankles. She showed her chin up in a ridiculous fashion, so she had to look down her nose to see Elayne. Aes Sedai rule their fear, she said in tones that might have been done for berating a drunken layabout who had staggered into your house.
Yeah.
They do not allow it to rule them. Lead, and we will follow gladly, but you must lead, not cower, hoping that something will make your troubles vanish. That's what Elayne had said to them.
Yes,
So-
but we only heard this after the fact. We weren't there.
After the fact, we hear Nynaeve's rant, but apparently this is what Elayne had said to them, like, don't cower, you should lead.
Yeah.
Trying to explain to them how to be Aes Sedai. So Nynaeve was like, I wasn't the only one kicking ankles here. This is why we're both scrubbing. It's not
Yes.
just my fault.
So the Egwene plan is already in the works.
Seems like it, yes. I was also like, I'm finding it not unbelievable, but I feel like it's almost too early to start activating that plan. Like, what are they basing this plan on? Like, why do they think Egwene is the one that they should? Why not Elayne, for that matter? Right?
One word, Swan.
Ooh,
I think this
another
is
word. Another word, Rand.
blah, blah, blah. I think yes, but I think that's why Swan is the one putting those ideas in the Hall's head. Like, we should have it. We should have it, and this is the best.
I want to
candidate.
use
She's
Elayne.
from the same village. Elayne, they have a different purpose for.
Yeah.
And Nynaeve,
Yeah.
they're not going to push
Yes.
around. As the
Okay, no,
Spanish
Egwene
say,
makes
need
sense.
one.
She's got a personal tie to the Dragon Rebel.
Exactly.
Okay, I
And
just want to just quickly point out how well these Aes Sedai pay attention. They've got
good.
two rivers folk among them
Uh-huh.
that
Mhm.
are clearly very stubborn. They see Nynaeve. They've dealt with Matt back in the tower when he was
Yeah.
being healed there. They have
Mhm.
a little bit of exposure to Rand where they've seen him here or there, some of them. Now, what they're going to do is their plan is to control another Two Rivers person in a dummy position. Like, is that
We all
the
know how that
best
turns
that
out.
they can fucking come up with? Cool. Let's go take the fourth member of stubborn as a mule country and let's try and control that one.
Well, look, they had Egwene in the tower for a while. I mean, she was a novice in the tower. Maybe they feel like out of her and Nynaeve, Egwene is the more because Egwene
Yeah.
is a bit more straighty 180, right? Like, she was the one following the rules and trying to,
Yeah, look,
to be a good girl.
If you compare her to Nynaeve, like if that's the only yardstick you have, she's very amenable.
But Swan's plan is also like, it's a double plan, right? Like, Swan is in on the fact that when Egwene becomes Amyrlin, doesn't she like declare like war powers or something like that? Because they're in a state of war, she has elevated powers and she can overrule the Hall.
Yes.
There's a big political play.
Yeah.
And then Egwene, I think, surprises even Swan
Yeah.
in her sort of like, okay, Swan, you've got me to this point. Now I am going to do what I want to do, not what you want.
Yeah.
So it's like multiple layers of plans
Yes.
overlaid
So
on top of each other.
Swan's plan is to trick the Hall into thinking that they can control somewhat an Amberlin, but actually she's choosing someone that Swan thinks she can control. But in the end, no one's going to control her. She's going to do whatever the fuck she pleases.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Egwene walks in knowing that that is what they're probably going to try and do, and how she's going to play them and do her own little Dies Daimar actions and
Ah.
actually play the entire hall.
But listen, this is not a bad idea by Swan and the other Aes Sedai in Salidar, because they are thinking of pre-Moiraine, pre-Wise One Egwene. They don't know what the fuck has happened to her since then. Like, she is
the wise ones.
The wise ones have
training
changed
is-
her completely. This is a different person. So they're still thinking, well, the last time I met her, this is what my plan is based on.
And then this plan actually works better than they expected, because when she gets captured and taken to the White Tower,
Yes.
she basically takes over the White Tower from inside.
Yep, just through sheer grit and determination. Yeah,
Yes. Taught to her by the wise ones.
exactly. So,
I mean, it was inbred in her. We know that about Egwene. She's a strong.
what a
character.
roller coaster
Nynaeve comments on it.
of plans. So in the end, it was a good plan.
It's amazing.
For the Aes Sedai
Her-
teams.
I mean, I've said it before, but Egwene's arc, especially that part where she's in the tower and she starts winning the respect of the novices, and everyone starts talking about her in hushed tones, and the Aes Sedai are getting frustrated because they can't control her and she's not listening to them. And then it culminates in the Sean-Chan attack, and she takes the lead, and she's leading like the circles of novices and standing in that hole in the side of the tower.
That's the image I had in my brain right now. Yeah.
It's so good. God damn it, it's good. I fucking love that. Her dreaming is also already quite powerful, right? Like, she's leveled up a lot while she's been with the wise ones. All this like floating around in the void and identifying dreams and like learning all this stuff that's why she's still got the headaches from Landfear, because she can only heal by resting, and she's just not resting.
Yeah.
She's taking the headaches and she's just learning more in Tel'aran'rhiod, avoiding these two women she doesn't recognize and
These
avoiding
unrecognizable
just
people
running around. Yeah. No, she's a beast. Egwene is all time. I laughed at Nynaeve and her stubbornness again. Like, just it's permanently on show, right? Like, she says to herself, she doesn't care what Theoden said. She's going to go get some sleep at the end of the previous chapter, right? Like, she's, I'm tired now. I am going to just go get some sleep. And then when Elayne comes back to the room, Nynaeve's sitting there trying to stay awake. Like, she's just like, I'm just going to get some. No, I will do this thing. I'll show everybody. And like nodding off on the little stool that now has a bent leg.
Yeah, she gets hit in the back with that. Like, she got attacked by that stool.
Yeah.
Smashed in the back.
I have a ridiculous note here that the smell of burnt soup from the pots they are scrubbing means it's 100% kitchen pots and not chamber pots.
Just to be clear.
Unless the smell of burnt soup.
No unless, mate.
Unless someone's pooping in the soup pots.
There's another black Asha tactic.
Okay, that's it. That's all the notes that I had.
I'm all noted out.
Anything else from you guys, or should we head on to favorite moments?
I think we can
do
head
that.
on.
Okay, well, Vil, what was your favorite moment?
My favorite moment was poor old Kawinde, who
Cowwind.
is not Cowwind, Kawinde, who has decided she's not putting off the white, is then browbeaten, bullied by one of the wise ones to go outside her tent and dig through the chapter name, a pile of sand, and find one red grain of sand. And if it's not the right grain of sand, you're going to do it again.
Yeah.
And then they're saying, like,
it's Melaine,
yeah,
right?
Melaine.
I think she's Melane's guy, Shane.
Yeah, Melane's had enough of this shit.
I love Melaine.
Like,
no,
fucking
it's
take those
not
ropes.
happening.
We have enough
like,
servants. We need more warriors.
Yeah, it's great. I love the Aiel sort of like forms of menial labor, like, you know, carrying stones and stacking them, or like
digging a hole,
dipping a thimble in a bucket of water to move like water from one bucket to that, and then moving it back again. Like, it's all this like really, really ridiculous, digging a hole and filling it up again. Just pointless labor. It's great. How about you, Joe?
Listen, there's not a lot to like in these chapters as favorite moments go. Off the top of my head, because you know I don't plan these things. I would say Nynaeve crying No, that sounds cruel. But I mean, the fact that tender moment that she has, like that determination, and that I'm going to fucking break this block, and I can't wait till I can be free and channel at will, that it makes a tear roll down her face. And that's also...
You never see her cry.
No. Shit. Is this the first time we've ever seen her cry?
Unless, I mean, maybe when Moghedian had her, like, all, like, trussed up and stuff. But it was noteworthy because this was pure emotion, right? It's not fear or, like, imminent death or anything like that. It was just a pure emotion. Like, her desire is so strong to break this block and to just get to being able to channel whenever she can. Yeah, that was striking.
And you?
Mine was when Bear makes an example of Elayne.
All right.
Of getting close to that dream. So the section goes like this. Leaving the dream of someone who hates you or loves you, Bear finished, is like trying to climb from a deep pit with sheer sides. There is that. Miss seemed to recover her humor suddenly, and she gave Elayne a sidelong glance. That is why no dreamwalker ever makes the mistake of trying to watch her husband's dreams. Elayne stared straight ahead, face darkening. She does not make that mistake twice, anyway, Miss added. Bear grinned, deepening the creases of her face, and very pointedly did not look at Elayne. It can be quite a shock, especially if he's angry with you. If, to choose an example from the air, G-Ito takes him away from you, and you, like some silly child, were foolish enough to tell him that he would not go if he loved you. This is running far afield from her question, a crimson-faced Elayne said stiffly. Bear cackled loudly.
Cackling.
To hear a wise one cackle at the expense of another wise one shows you how, like, they've taken Egwene in to their circle. So they can make, like, when you've cracked a group, you can be privy to them poking fun at the other members. You're not now an outsider where they will provide a united front all the time. So Egwene is very much in there with them. And I like Elayne as well. She's this sort of like fiery, sort of, quick to anger. She's the sort of the passionate one. And to see her, like, not make a mistake or something, but to, like, sort of have tread or colored outside the lines because of her passion and because of her fiery personality is another cool thing. You can't have all the wise ones be like 100% stoic all the time and just these perfect beings. Elayne is a cool foil, and then for Bear to, like, actually cackle at her is very enjoyable. I had an honorable mention, which is just when Nynaeve breaks and lays into Sheriam and the other sisters. Like, I really I enjoyed when she lays it all out there. You're like, oh shit, yeah, she's right. Yep. And they know it as well.
Yep.
They're also like, they send her off. I mean, Sheriam, like you said, I think you mentioned it, like when Sheriam's spying at them, scrubbing, she goes, I regret doing that because they're right.
Yeah.
Like Nynaeve was on the money.
Damn Skippy. Some other things that are just occurring to me now as well, like there's a mention as well how the Aes Sedai, the wise ones are still meeting with the wise ones from the Shido, and like Egwene is still a bit like, that's weird, even though they're such It's like, dude, your clan politics means nothing to us wise ones,
To the wise ones.
Wise ones are above all that shit.
Are the wise ones, maybe we were talking about where their camp might be, are they not traveling with the clans that are preparing for war on the border of Ilion? Like, have they not maybe traveled with the actual spears?
I have a feeling that they are in Cairhien. Well, just on the outside. Because this chapter starts. I can look at the chapter right now and tell exactly where they are. I think it's like the first sentence.
Oh. That would be very handy.
It would indeed. Pile of sand. And had managed to find a few of the right sort here in Cairhien.
Okay, there we go. Which is also the country.
Yes, but I mean they're not on the border of Ilion. No. They might be as far south as it goes. It's there by Camelin, by Arringil, is the town there where all the.
It was Matt that moved there. They didn't move with Matt.
No,
Matt went to Arringil and as his diversion, and then you've got
all the All the Terrans and the Aiel are on the border of Ilion to sort of draw Samael's attention.
with the
Matt
mines
the
and
band word.
their-
And they say the Shido are in the north because the people that are still running away with bleakness are running north to the Shido to join them, or some of them.
Mm.
So that means they're in
That's where they drove them.
Kinslayer's dagger area because up north is Tarvalon. So they're in between Kyrie and Tarvalon is like the entire Shido population.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't far from Tarvalon where Savannah and the other wise ones met Gawain and the Aes Sedai on the slopes of a hill.
All right. So they're quite
I
far
remember.
north.
And those guys are being actively sent from Tarvalon, right? Like that's still their base of operations.
Ah.
Gawain is acting on behalf of the tower, so they're pretty far north.
Where
Righto.
is Rand's school? Camelin or Carrion?
Kyrian, I think.
Kyrian's the
Because-
university, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's confusing because it's the name of the city and the name of the country. All right. So then to our dear listeners, send in your favorite moments, your questions, corrections, theories, observations, a voice note, anything at all. Use the social media links in the episode description below, where you can also find a link to join our Discord. The easiest way to reach us is probably via Twitter, and our Twitter handle is @BloodandAshPod. And on our website, which is just bloodandashespodcast.com, you can leave messages, record a short voice message, and if you record a good one, we can actually insert it in the episode. And you can also find a link to the merch store where we sell a couple of fun t-shirts with an ever-expanding, almost said repertoire, but that's not the right word. Range? That's so boring and bland.
Aw.
I mean, we do only have two ranges, two styles so far. So that's another thing that you can write in about, some t-shirt ideas.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, next time on Blood and Ashes, we will cover the following chapters. We'll start obviously with chapter 16 called Tellings of the Wheel, and we will go on through to the end of chapter 20 from the Steading. That's 5 chapters.
Ooh, are you
Dun, dun, dun.
are you joining us, Moritz?
Who gets 3? Who gets 2?
Who gets one, Moritz?
I'll see once I've read them.
Okay.
But that will be after our break, so we'll have lots of time.
Oh yeah.
And everyone will quickly do their reading the week before the episode.
As we do.
Hurry their notes. As I quickly try and finish, what is it? The Lost Metal. That's the book I said I was going to read.
Yes.
Promise, I'm going to read it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. If I keep saying it, it's going to happen.
Sure.
But until then, sleep well and wake.
Sit.
Watch Andor, everyone.
I second that motion.